Our next storyteller. So this is a true little weird Z. I love this. She loves the smell of basements. Give it up for Elena Haskin.
When I was 7, my mom, dad, and sister and I piled into my dad's truck, and we barreled off on a 7-hour road trip to Vermont. Instead of the typical, "Are we there yet? Are you there yet?" kind of questions that kids usually ask, our car ride was filled with hours of custom Jeopardy questions hosted by yours truly. My mom always joked that my sister would fight with her fists and I would fight with my voice, because I always wanted to make sure that I had the final word. Now, we grew up in a small town, and in small towns, word travels pretty quick. It was the kind of small town that you see in movies, where we had no stoplights. We had more cows than people. We even had people who could drive tractors before they could drive cars. And we were just stuck with each other from pre-K all the way up. When I was in high school, there was something that I wanted more than anything, and that was to be class president, for a few reasons. First, you get to give a speech at graduation. Number 2, the ego. And 3, I wanted to have a pulse on everything that was going on. Getting to know what was going on, and in a small town, information is your currency. We had a classmate, and his name was Alex. And Alex was born with a rare disease where he was allergic to everything. He was constantly going back and forth to the hospital, and by middle school, he was too sick to even come to school with us, so we had to take classes at home. So I would set up Skype calls with people so we could talk to him during lunch. I would text him, and sometimes I would go over to his house. We would play board games, and I'd just kind of catch him up with what was going on, who was dating who, what the latest sport teams were doing. And after high school, Alex, unfortunately, was put into hospice. I should reach out to him. I kept thinking that I was going to reach out, and that message always just kind of stayed in the draft mode in my head for a few weeks, and those weeks turned to months. So after college, I moved to New York City. And I didn't really stay in touch that well with everybody. We all kind of drifted apart, and we were pretty sick of each other. But I did keep Facebook, so I could keep the illusion of being really connected with everyone. But really, I was just lurking to see who was married to who and who was having a baby. And all of a sudden, one day when I was scrolling, waiting for some of my friends to come to lunch, I saw 3 words. And it said, "Rest easy, Alex." And it didn't take long for me to put on my president hat and become the self-appointed death ambassador. I have to tell everybody. I have to tell people in our class what happened. They need to know what happened with Alex. So I put together a quick Facebook post, and I grabbed all these photos, and I started sending it to everybody, reaching out to everyone. This is what happened. This is what happened. A few minutes later, my phone rang, and it was Sarah. And she said, "Elena, Alex didn't die." For the first time in my life, I had no words. I quickly jumped into PR mode, trying to delete it as quickly, searching the web for obituaries. It must be true. Come on, it must be. But Sarah had reached out to his brother to send her condolences and found out the truth that he indeed wasn't dead yet. Now, word travels really quickly in a small town, and at that point, there wasn't really much left that I could do. But there was one thing that was still left. I pulled up that draft that I'd been meaning to send for all those weeks and months, and I finally started writing. Not to anyone else, just to Alex. Now, my mom always said that I fought with my words, and sometimes the biggest fight is keeping your mouth shut. But when you do actually have something to say, make sure it actually matters. Thank you.
When's the last time you got something done? Flash Rangers will take this